They called you delusional. They whispered behind closed doors that you were too intense, too spiritual, or living in another reality. But deep down, you knew something was stirring, an ancient truth, a divine whisper that echoed louder with every passing day. You weren't trying to be seen or praised. You were simply obedient to the calling that never let you rest. Now, suddenly, the very people who laughed are looking around in disbelief, realizing you were right all along. The world is shifting, and everything you warned them about is unfolding in real time. Your community, your family, even your oldest friends are seeing it. The systems are collapsing, the masks are falling, and the illusions are being stripped away. You tried to tell them that this world wasn't as stable as it seemed, that the spiritual realm was influencing everything beneath the surface. But they didn't want to hear it. And yet now, as prophecies unfold and as chaos rises in politics, nature, and even the media, their eyes are finally opening. Can you feel that? The air is thick with realization. The same ones who dismissed you are now shaken to their core. Chosen one, you didn't speak to be liked. You spoke because the truth was burning inside you. You didn't shout because of ego. You shouted because souls were asleep and time was short. This is your confirmation. Everything you warned about is no longer distant. It's here, and they are watching with wide eyes, stunned, as divine timing proves that God truly spoke through you. Remember when you felt alone in this? That loneliness was sacred. It preserved you from being contaminated by the very mindset that is now crumbling before your eyes. If this resonates with your journey, don't stay silent. Share your experience in the comments. Let your voice be a trumpet for others still wrestling with doubt. And if you feel this message piercing your spirit, like this video, subscribe to Chosen Destiny and turn on the bell so you don't miss the rest of this divine unfolding. What was the moment that made you realize your warnings were starting to come true? Let's talk about it below. Remember those quiet seasons when no one checked on you? When your phone stayed silent and your prayers echoed in what felt like an empty room? That wasn't punishment. It was preparation. God pulled you away from the crowd so you wouldn't be influenced by the world's noise. While others were chasing clout, distractions, and shallow comforts, you were in the wilderness learning discernment, strength, and sacred truth. Now that the storm is here, the ones who ignored your voice are searching for shelter. And ironically, you are the one carrying it. It's in the silence that God trained your eyes to see through deception, your ears to hear beyond lies, and your heart to withstand betrayal. When the world seemed stable, your spirit sensed a shaking, and now it's undeniable. The economy cracking, relationships being exposed, leaders falling, the very foundations people trusted are trembling. And suddenly, your words, your warnings, and your walk with God are being revisited by the same people who said, "You're doing too much." God had to isolate you to strengthen you. Because if you had stayed entangled in the crowd, you would have been silenced by their comfort. He needed you awake when everyone else was asleep. He needed your spirit aligned when the world was in denial. And now, in this great revealing, those who once ridiculed your faith are returning with questions. The same people who once offered you pity are now asking for your perspective. You see, the preparation wasn't just for your survival, it was for your impact. Have you noticed how the ones who once distanced themselves are now drawing near? That's not coincidence. That's prophecy unfolding. Chosen one. Comment below if your isolation led to clarity and spiritual depth. How did God shape you in the silence? If this part of the journey is familiar, hit the like button and make sure you're subscribed to Chosen Destiny. This is just the beginning. Stay with us, because your voice is about to become a lighthouse for the shaken. Do you remember when you spoke about strange weather patterns, moral decay, or spiritual warfare increasing? They rolled their eyes. You mentioned dreams, visions, and divine warnings, and they called it paranoia. But now, the signs are impossible to ignore. Nature is in rebellion. Leaders are being exposed. Secrets are being unearthed. What was once hidden is now bursting into plain view. It's not just coincidence, it's confirmation. The very things you said would happen are happening. The news headlines read like your past conversations. Earthquakes in unlikely places, sudden political shifts, social unrest that seems orchestrated. Everything you sensed in your spirit is breaking through the surface, and people are finally connecting the dots. It's not because you're smarter, it's because you were sensitive. You listened to God, even when the world begged for silence. Now they realize your spiritual insight wasn't weird, it was prophetic. The same world that laughed is now holding its breath. Chosen one, this is why your gift couldn't be muted. This is why God gave you discernment others didn't understand. The signs are not just in the sky or on the news, they're inside people. Relationships are imploding. People are wrestling with conviction. Dark spirits can no longer hide in plain sight. The world is going through a shaking, and those who ignored the truth are being forced to reckon with it. You didn't predict the future. You discerned the present. So now the world asks, how did you know? And you can say, I didn't. God told me. Have these signs confirmed what you always knew in your heart? Share in the comments. Encourage others who are just now waking up to what you've known for years. And if this is your moment of realization, subscribe to Chosen Destiny and stay close, because your gift of awareness is not just a blessing. It's part of your divine assignment. You see it now. Those who once dismissed your insight are suddenly listening. They're reaching out. They want to know what's next, what you see, what God is showing you. But hear this clearly. Your role is not to seek validation, it's to remain grounded. Their awakening doesn't mean you slow down, get prideful, or soften your message. It means your season of relevance has arrived, and with it comes the responsibility to stay aligned with God, not with applause. The truth is, not everyone who pretends to awaken is truly transformed. Some are reacting out of fear, not faith. Some still want control over the outcome. They want your insight, but not your obedience. This is why you must stay in the secret place. Just because they're finally seeing doesn't mean they're ready to follow. Be careful not to lower your standards to comfort the same people who once resisted your truth. God is using you, but He still needs your surrender, not your popularity. This season is heavy with spiritual gravity. People are waking up, yes, but also panicking. You are being positioned not as a hero, but as a servant. Keep your discernment sharp. Don't rush to explain everything. Let the Holy Spirit guide your words. Sometimes silence is more powerful than a sermon. Sometimes presence speaks louder than preaching. You were trained for this. Don't forget the lessons from the wilderness now that the crowd is listening. If you've felt the temptation to prove yourself now that people are paying attention, you're not alone. Let's talk about it in the comments. How do you stay humble when people finally see what you've been saying? Like this video if this spoke to your spirit, and make sure you're locked in with Chosen Destiny, because this next chapter requires wisdom, not just visibility. Something in the atmosphere has changed, hasn't it? You feel it in your bones. The air is charged, heavy with both divine purpose and demonic resistance. There's a war going on, one that can't be seen with natural eyes. The spiritual climate has shifted. What used to be subtle is now blatant. Light is brighter, darkness is bolder. And you, chosen one, are standing in the center of it all, called to walk with power, purity, and purpose like never before. This isn't the time to be lukewarm. This isn't the time to play it safe. If you've been sensing attacks in your sleep, unrest in your spirit, or strange encounters, know this: the enemy knows who you are, but more importantly, he knows who's backing you. God has equipped you for such a time as this. Your prayers have weight, your voice has authority, and your life, no matter how quiet it looks, is shaking spiritual foundations. The whole community might be shaken, but heaven is not. You're not witnessing chaos, you're witnessing cleansing. The exposure, the collapses, the confusion. It's not the end. It's the unmasking. God is separating wheat from weeds, truth from deception, real from fake. You're not here by accident. Your presence in this season is a sign of purpose. Chosen ones were never sent during peace. They rise in the storm. Are you feeling this shift in your life? Dreams intensifying? Conversations getting deeper? Warfare increasing? Drop your testimony in the comments. Someone else is experiencing it too. Smash the like button if you know you're in a spiritual war. And if you're ready to be equipped for what's next, stay right here on Chosen Destiny, because your calling is colliding with this critical hour. You didn't just see things before others, you were sent ahead. Like a watchman on the wall or a prophet in the wilderness, you carried truths others weren't ready to receive. It was never about you being better. It was about you being assigned. You were the forerunner, the one chosen to go through the fire first, to weep in silence, to prepare the ground while others were asleep. You bore the weight of warnings, visions, and unshakable convictions, so the day would come when others could finally hear and believe. Think of Noah building the ark, mocked until the first drop of rain fell, or Jeremiah, who wept for a nation blind to its destruction. You carry the same spirit. The things you've suffered, the rejection, the loneliness, the constant resistance, weren't for nothing. They were shaping you into someone strong enough to carry revelation when others crumble. While they enjoyed the calm, you were feeling the tremors. While they focused on trends, you were focused on truth. Now, as the storms arrive, your endurance shines. You have a depth others are just now discovering. You know how to pray through pain. You know how to discern hidden motives. You understand when to speak and when to remain silent. This makes you not just a messenger, but a leader. Not the kind with a title, but the kind with authority, earned through obedience and fire. And the same God who sent you ahead will now use you to guide those just waking up. Have you ever felt like you were born early, not in age but in awareness, that you were called to see before others could understand? Share that feeling in the comments. Let others know they're not alone. Like this message if you know you've been walking ahead of the crowd, and subscribe to Chosen Destiny if you believe your journey wasn't random. It was prophetic. You were never late. You were just chosen early. This is the moment you were built for. But it comes with a decision. Now that the community is shaken, now that the veil is lifting, and now that people are listening, what will you do with your influence? Will you retreat into bitterness, remembering who doubted you? Or will you rise with grace and purpose, knowing this is your moment to reflect God's heart? not just his warnings. This is the true test of the chosen ones. It's not just about what you saw, but about how you respond when others finally recognize it. God isn't calling you to boast. He's calling you to build. You are the bridge now, the one who can lead from fear to faith, from confusion to clarity, from collapse to Christ. Yes, you were mocked. Yes, you were isolated. But that doesn't disqualify your impact. It fuels it. What they meant for harm, God is now using for influence. Your story, your scars, your silent years, all of it is now a testimony. Don't hold it back. Start writing, start speaking, start mentoring. Let your voice ring with humility and truth. People are hungry for authenticity, for wisdom, for direction. You are not their savior, but you are a signpost. You're the one they ignored until they needed you. And now, they're looking, listening, and longing for the real. Be that. Live that. Lead them home. What are you going to do now that the world is waking up? Will you answer the call? Will you walk boldly into your role as a spiritual leader in this generation? Comment below with your next step of obedience. And if you haven't already, subscribe to Chosen Destiny now. Like this message and share it with someone who doubted you, but is now asking questions. Your courage might be the confirmation they need to wake up too. Chosen one, the world is no longer asleep, and you are no longer hidden. Everything you warned about is now unfolding, not as chaos, but as confirmation. You were never meant to fit in. You were meant to prepare the way. Don't shrink now. Don't stay silent. You are the evidence that God still speaks, still moves, and still raises up voices for a time such as this. Your community may be shook, but you are standing strong. You are the light. You are the echo of heaven in the midst of unraveling systems. And your time is now. Subscribe to Chosen Destiny, like this video, and let your voice be heard in the comments. What part of this message confirmed your journey? What is God asking you to do next? Share it with us, and let's walk this path together.